This is the home of John Davis Howard. He's known around these parts as a gentleman farmer. This morning, he's having a little business meeting. You may think you've never heard of him, but you have. Those Colt 45s are a giveaway. This man's real name, the one he's never even told his kids, isn't John Davis Howard. In fact, he's one of the most dangerous men alive, Jessie James.
That picture's powerful, Crooked.
And because of what will happen next, this is the second most important day of his life after the day he was born. So what's the real story behind the death of Jessie James?
In 1876, Jessie James and his gang did something unexpected, which is that they showed up in Northfield, Minnesota.
Jessie has heard that former Union General Adelbert Ames, a champion of slave rights, has just made a $50,000 deposit there. Hatred of the Union, need for greenbacks, attention, it all comes to a head in one botched robbery.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong in Northfield.
They converged on the bank on September 7th, 1876. Went in, tried to rob it. The townspeople came running with their guns. There was a shootout outside.
Jessie's trusted gang is decimated.
During the escape, we know that the Youngers and Charlie Pitts were captured and Charlie Pitts was killed. But Frank and Jessie escaped, and the legend grew.
I really think that you can draw a line from Northfield to Jessie's assassination.
Jessie collected a new gang around him. Two of the men who he recruited, Charlie and Bob Ford, who were brothers, but they were all people who were new to him and not men that he particularly trusted.
Jessie James' life has led to this moment. There's a $10,000 price on his head offered by Governor Crittenden of Missouri, and Bob Ford wants to cash in.
You boys are slower than molasses in January.
Jessie had become very suspicious and paranoid. There was this big price on his head. He didn't really know who he could trust. He actually killed one of his gang members, a man named Ed Miller. That shook up other people that were close to Jessie. Who's Jessie gonna kill next? The Fords feel like they need to strike first.
This is the way the end comes for Jessie James. All the bank robberies, the murders, the shootouts have led to this moment in a little house where he's been living with the wife who knows he's the infamous outlaw and the two kids who don't. He will be killed, not in some blaze of glory, but doing something incredibly mundane.
That picture's powerful, Crooked.
Some say he got up to straighten a picture of a racehorse. Others say it was a needlepoint. Jessie James, legendary outlaw, dead at 34.
Jessie's death was worldwide news. I mean, this was the most famous outlaw on the planet at the time.
Jessie James's funeral attracted 2,000 mourners who gathered outside the church where the service was being held and then followed the body to his mother's farm where he was buried. From that moment on, that site became a kind of pilgrimage site. Jessie James's death was the end of an era, really, for this kind of criminal.
Bob telegraphed the governor to claim their reward. He thought he'd be welcomed as a hero, but he never would achieve the fame that he wanted, the fame that Jesse himself had in life and in death.
Bob Ford, he ended up making a living traveling the country with a show called I Shot Jessie James.
People were willing to spend money for a piece of Jessie James. The way Jesse's mother survives in her later years is selling pebbles supposedly from Jesse's grave, but when the pebble supply got low, she went to the nearby creek and got a bunch more pebbles and brought them up and sold them to those tourists.
There was something that struck Americans as particularly American about the Western outlaw. But what's interesting about Jessie James is that even though he became a protagonist in all these Western films, he was Southern, not Western.
He's grown beyond that robber hero. Now he's a fixture of the American consciousness. So what are you going to do?
Jesse would love the fact that he is still talked about.
I expect he'll remember me.
In the 1920s, America's biggest bank robbers would no longer be outlaws. They'd be gangsters. Today, Jesse James is remembered as a victim of his own infamy and his own doing.